So last update on the syntropic food forest before the leaves will be gone. So this system was planted, I think March, more or less. Most of the trees were planted in March, some even later this year. And look how tall they have become. Like some of them, the biggest, they are more or less my height, so 180. And it's really impressive to see, you know. Here we planted a very dense, basically it's almost like a hedge. Yeah, it's really impressive. Very densely planted, and this works so well. You see those polonias, those trees, they actually were 30-40 centimeters when we put them in the ground in June or July, and it's just impressive to see how fast it grows. Same for the mimosa here, Mimosa acacia. It grows extremely fast and fixes nitrogen. Very interesting. Also, for this climate, fig trees are actually a very interesting pioneer species because they grow extremely fast, are drought resistant, and you can use them also like the polonias to chop and drop, because the idea is this. I will show you. Here we have our fruit tree. This is an orange tree, and every 3 or 4 meters we planted a fruit tree or fruit shrub. What we do with those polonia trees and other things, other pioneer species that are growing next to them, we will continuously chop and drop their biomass, and this will actually become organic matter like this stuff, which will consequently feed the microorganisms and hence also the fruit trees. And it's a very simple idea actually, syntropic agriculture, but it's very, very effective because nature works like this. Organic matter is just the source of all functioning ecosystems, and the more you produce of it, well, in general there might be limits, but in general the more you can produce on site and the more you can feed to your fruit trees, the better they will perform. This is a feijoa tree or shrub, also next to polonia. I will try to zoom out a little bit so you can see it a little bit better. Voila. So it's a very simple recipe. Every 3 or 4 meters a fruit tree or fruit shrub, and in between a lot of different species like figs, poplar. Here you see some poplar also. Mimosa acacia for nitrogen fixation. Ideally I would have liked to put in some more nitrogen fixing shrubs. But yeah, you do what you can. So very interesting to see. Then I want to show you this next tree line, which is planted on the mound of a soil. And also here actually you can see a difference. It's not as densely planted as the previous tree line. There are more gaps, and this is actually not good because you want to have ideal biomass production. So the denser planted, the better, the more biomass you produce. But the benefit here is that you can see the system pretty easily. So there we have our first fruit tree, citrus I believe. Then a polonia tree. Then other helper trees like this Mimosa acacia. Then 4 meters further there's another citrus. Then again some helper things like polonia and grapevine. Then again another citrus. A nitrogen fixing shrub that's called tagazaste, or tree luzerne I believe. I don't know how to pronounce that. Here again another citrus with elephant grass, tagazaste, polonias and sunflowers in between for the biomass production. And again another citrus, and then again the same pattern with elephant grass, polonia, and here we reach another section of the line with a lot of goji berry. Those 4 shrubs here are goji berries. Then we have our avocado tree here with polonias, goja. There's another avocado tree. This is our healthiest looking one. And so on and so on and so on. And this system, or the basis of the system can be applied to almost every climate here on the planet. So in more northern areas, of course, you won't plant avocados and citrus, but you can plant other fruit trees like apples, and use the same way of thinking to design your systems. This is another example I want to show you, which is pretty interesting because here we combine raspberries with trees. And so it's the same thing. Every 4 meters or so there's a fruit tree. In this case an apple tree and an autumn olive. And we again planted helper trees like Paulownia in between. But we also planted our raspberries directly in this tree line, basically. You can see one there. And what this means is that the first 2 years or so, 2 or 3 years, when there's still enough light, you can actually produce a crop here that you can sell. And after this time there will be too much shade because the trees will have grown too much, so your production of raspberries goes down. But this is not a problem because you actually paid for those first years. So this is an advantage of planting things like raspberries rather than elephant grass just for the biomass, because raspberries, they produce also biomass, but also edible biomass. So pretty cool. Here a very nice Paulownia apple, huge elephant grass. We planted little pieces of rhizomes in May. Autumn olive, which grows also extremely fast here, fixes nitrogen. Szechuan pepper tree, very nice. And elderberry, also a nice tree, especially for more northern climates, for quick biomass inputs. And so, yeah, that's more or less the tree line system I just wanted to share with you before most of the leaves will have fallen and it's harder to see the system. This is our last tree line, one of our last tree lines. Again on the mount of the soil, which could possibly fill up this week because there's some heavy rain foreseen.